All right, so have you ever thought about, like, why people feel like they have to stand up for what they believe in, even when everyone's telling them they're wrong?
Yeah, totally. It's such a fascinating question.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. We've got some really interesting stuff to look at, like the story of Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
Remember the 5th of November?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then we'll look at a Sikh celebration called Bandi Chor Divas.
Right. And we should probably start with some definitions of key concepts too, right? Just to make
hmm
sure we're all on the same page.
Totally. We'll be talking about things like prejudice and discrimination, pretty heavy stuff.
But also about how tolerance can play a huge role.
Exactly.
It all kind of begins with this idea of religious freedom. Like, think about it, the freedom to actually choose your own beliefs.
Yeah, and even change them.
Right, to change them and to practice them without anyone, like, forcing you to do something different.
It's so basic, but I feel like it's something we take for granted sometimes. Have you ever felt so strongly about something that you were, like, willing to stand up for it, even when you knew it might not be popular?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It takes some real guts, doesn't it?
It really does.
That's what's so amazing about someone like Guy Fawkes, right?
Mm.
This guy was ready to risk everything for his Catholic beliefs in England back when, Protestant Christianity was basically the law.
It's wild to think about how different things were back then.
It's crazy.
Like, in Guy Fawkes' time, people really believed in the divine right of kings. Like, seriously believed it. It was this idea that the king or queen, whoever was in charge, was chosen by God.
Chosen by God.
Yeah, and because of that, they had, like, total authority over religion. It wasn't just, some theoretical idea. It was reality for everyone.
Can you imagine? Like your whole life, the laws, your beliefs, everything dictated by the ruler's faith.
It's hard to even fathom.
So when someone like Guy Fawkes comes along saying, hey, I believe something different, it's not just disagreeing, it's challenging the whole system.
Yeah, it's like a direct confrontation.
Head-on collision. And this takes us to two things that are sadly still super relevant today: prejudice and discrimination.
Right.
The definitions are actually pretty clear in our sources. Prejudice is basically judging someone before you really know them.
Like prejudging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And discrimination is actually taking action and treating someone unfairly because of who they are or what they believe.
It's like prejudice in action.
Yeah, and the thing is, these two things, prejudice and discrimination, they can really mess things up for people and for whole societies.
For sure. We're talking about people not getting basic opportunities, facing violence, being totally excluded.
Just because of their religion, age, gender, or race.
It's awful. And unfortunately, history has so many examples of it.
It's heartbreaking.
It really is.
But, there's a little bit of a silver lining. Our sources talk about how in the UK today, they have these protected characteristics written into law.
What, like in their constitution or something?
Well, I think it's more like specific laws. But the point is, it's illegal to discriminate against someone based on these really personal things.
So, like, you can't be denied housing or a job just because of your religion.
Right. I mean, it doesn't erase all the bad stuff that's happened, but it does show that things are changing, that society is, like, waking up a little bit.
That's encouraging. It's like saying, hey, we recognize this is wrong and we're trying to do better.
Right. And speaking of doing better, there's this incredible Sikh celebration called Bandi Chor Divas that's all about celebrating tolerance.
Tell me more about it.
So it's about this guy, Guru Hargobind, who was released from prison.
Okay.
But here's the amazing part. He refused to leave unless 52 other prisoners who had all sorts of different beliefs were released with him.
He could have just walked free, but he chose to stand up for others.
That's what I'm talking about, a true champion of tolerance.
It's like he was saying, freedom isn't real unless everyone has it.
Exactly. He was breaking down those walls of intolerance. It's funny, we've been talking about how things have changed, but when you compare Guru Hargobind's story to Guy Fawkes, it's like centuries apart, but the same fight for freedom.
It shows that these issues are, like, timeless in a way.
Totally. And that tolerance can win even when things seem impossible.
It's powerful stuff.
But let's be real, tolerance can be hard, especially when you're dealing with stereotypes.
Right.
Our sources define a stereotype as, like, a fixed idea about a group of people that's usually oversimplified and just plain wrong.
Like a shortcut that leads to the wrong destination.
Exactly. I remember this one time. Oh, actually, it's a long story. Never mind.
No worries.
But the point is, stereotypes are dangerous.
Because they can lead to prejudice and discrimination. Like, they create these mental shortcuts that bypass real understanding,
They make us jump to conclusions instead of actually getting to know people.
It's a cycle fueled by ignorance and fear, unfortunately.
So let's take a step back. What have we learned? We talk about the basic right to religious freedom, the dangers of prejudice and discrimination, and how powerful tolerance can be.
It's a lot to think about.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, if someone like Guru Hargobind could be so tolerant in such a tough time, what can we do in our own lives?
Even small things can make a difference, right?
Absolutely. Like being kind, really listening to someone, or even speaking up when you hear a stereotype. It might seem small, but
It can have a ripple effect.
it can totally change the way people think and act.
And who knows? Maybe we can inspire others to be more tolerant too.
That's the dream.